Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is the 440th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that I've put onto YouTube. During the course of this battle, I'll be talking a little bit about Spartan history, and as you can see here, this battle was fought on the grassy flatlands map. Okay, our first teammate here today is Brotherhood member Bark, and Bark has got 11 infantry, 3 archers, and 6 cavalry. Okay, 11 infantry, 3 archers, and 6 cavalry. Okay, so a quick look at the upgrades on his infantry. Okay, I can see he's just got gold shield, gold attack on his infantry there. So my guess is he spent his money on his cavalry. Okay, you can see a unit you don't see very often, 31k, Town Watch. My guess is he will incorporate that into his pilot shield unit there. As long as they stand their ground, they'll soak up pilots as any other expensive unit. Quick look at the upgrades. Yep, there you can see he spent his money on his cavalry. 8 upgrades, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So that's an interesting army build there, and should be interesting to see how well it does during the course of the battle. Our next teammate is a Brotherhood member, Legion 22. Now Legion has got 11 infantry, 3 archers, and 6 cavalry. Okay, 11 infantry, 3 archers, and 6 cavalry. If you look at the upgrades on his infantry, can you see he's got mixed upgrades? He's got 7 upgrades, an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on some of his units, and just gold shield, gold attack on other infantry units there. And let's say he got 6 cavalry. Quick look on the upgrades of his cavalry, and he's got 7 upgrades. So he's got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry there. So that's quite a well balanced army, the same as Barks there. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Aurelius, who's bought the Rome Julio faction. Now Aurelius has got 12 infantry, 2 archers, and 6 cavalry. Okay, just draw your attention here to 2 of his units of his infantry. He's got an infantry general and an eagle unit. Okay, and remember those eagle units bring extra morale. So with an eagle unit and his infantry general unit, there's a lot of morale going on there within his infantry. He's got 6 cavalry. Have a quick look at the upgrades of his cavalry. And he's got 6 upgrades. So he's got gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry there. Okay, so that's not a bad army there either. It's pretty good. And our last teammate is myself, Spartan Commander, who's bought his very old Greek cities army of 14 Spartans and 5 of the cheap short-range archers. Okay, now those short-range archers, I've got 5 of them. With gold attack on, they're just 250 denarii each. Okay, they are short range, they're cheap, but as I say, with gold attack on, they're just 250 denarii. So they are cheap, but they can be effective if used properly. And during the course of this battle, you might see how effective they can be, even though they are pretty cheap. Okay, so there's our team there. You wait till you see the other team, a great one for you to watch. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I thought I'd talk a little bit about Spartan history here. As you know, when boys reached the age of 7 in Sparta, they were taken away from their families and trained in all aspects of warfare, including resistance to pain and carry on fighting when they're wounded and things like that. And they were just absolutely, as I say, trained in all aspects of warfare. And they were trained for 14 years. They were taken away at 7, and they weren't allowed to go into battle until they were 21. Okay, I think one of the most noticeable things about Sparta was their hold at the pass of Thermopylae. Okay, now King Leonidas got his scouts telling him that a massive Persian army was invading Greece. And he knew that the only place to stop them was at the pass at Thermopylae, a narrow pass at Thermopylae. But unfortunately, at this time, Sparta was going through a religious ceremony, which meant the army could not fight. The Spartan army is not allowed to fight during this religious ceremony. So Leonidas, knowing that time was the essence with the Persians approaching, decided just to take his 300 bodyguard with him to the pass at Thermopylae. Okay, now make no mistake, this 300 bodyguard were the elite of the elite troops, and he took them towards Thermopylae. He was then joined by some troops from the Greek city-states who knew what he was doing. And in the end, he had an army of about 7,000 Greeks when they reached the pass at Thermopylae. Now, there was an old wall at the pass that they rebuilt to make the pass even narrower. As they reached there a few days before Xerxes' massive army arrived. Okay, so they were ready for when Xerxes arrived. Xerxes' scouts told him that there was a small group of Greeks holding the pass, and Xerxes decided to attack. Okay, he threw his infantry in. It was like waves of the sea hitting rocks. his infantry just broke on the Greek spears. You might not know this, but the Greeks had in the past like a rotation method there, where they kept fresh troops at the front of the pass at all times. So for instance, if the Spartans took an attack from the Persians, once they'd broken that attack, the Spartans then would withdraw, see to their wounded, obviously have refreshments and rest, while the Greek contingent moved forward to take the next attack. And when they'd taken that attack, they would move back, and then more Greeks would take their place there. So the Greeks had a rotation there within the pass of keeping fresh troops to face the oncoming Persians. Okay, Xerxes was so angry about seeing his troops being repulsed with every attack, he decided to throw in his immortal troops. Now this was his personal bodyguard. They were the best equipped troops there, and they charged in as well, and they were broken. They just could not break the Spartan and Greeks' wall there. Okay, now remember that the Greeks' shield wall was absolutely solid. The Greek shield wall, the shield was weighed about 30 pounds, which is about 40 kilograms, and was in about 3 foot diameter. That's about 91 centimeters diameter. So it's difficult for the Persians to break that. And remember that the Persians' troops, most of them, weren't that well equipped to break that type of defense. After about 2 days of attack, a local man went to see Xerxes, and for gold and money told Xerxes about an old goat track that went behind the Spartans' position and would come out behind them. Xerxes immediately dispatched 10,000 immortals on that track to get in behind the Greeks' position. Leonidas was told about this, and he told all his Greek allies to leave. But he was going to stay with his Spartans. They all left except for 700 Thespians, who said they would hold the rear against the 10,000 immortals as long as they could. Okay, so as soon as Leonidas heard those Thespians fighting those 10,000 immortals, he moved his Spartans out into the open plain past the pass, through the pass out into the open plain where the vast Persian army was stood. He then formed his men into a wedge formation with him at the head, and he led the Spartans directly into the center of the main Persian battle line. As the Spartans crashed in, it penetrated deep into the Persian line, killing loads and loads of the Persians. Okay, remember Leonidas is at the head of this wedge formation of the Spartans. He was wounded several times, but he kept moving forward, kept taking that wedge formation forward into the Persian ranks. Okay, eventually he was killed, and then a mini battle ensued there, where the Persians were trying to grab his body, but the Spartans grabbed it back, and the Spartans actually went onto a small hillock, okay, where they were promptly surrounded by the Persians. Xerxes sent one of his generals forward and said, you can go home to Greece, back to your families, if you give us Leonidas' body. Of course, the Spartans refused. This angered Xerxes, and he is said to have said, I will waste no more men on these Spartans. And he brought his thousands of archers forward, and they fired volleys into the remaining Spartans. And it is said that the volleys were so thick that they blotted out the sun, and the Spartans died in the shade. And as the last Spartan fell, the 300 moved it into legend. But as I say, very often the sacrifice of those 700 Thespians behind them, holding those 10,000 immortals as long as they could, is very often forgotten in the story here. Okay, so as I say, when you think of the 300 sacrificed, remember those 700 Thespians, as I say, that willingly sacrificed themselves to try and hold as long as they could behind Leonidas, to let his infantry kill as many Persians as he could. Also, don't forget, Leonidas had another reason for taking his army out to fight the Persians. He knew that the Persian cavalry would catch up to his allies that were moving away from the pass, so he had to hold them up for as long as he could to try and stop the Persian cavalry getting to his allies that were withdrawing. Okay, now bearing in mind that the Spartan spear was called the dory, and it was made of cornel wood, which was very, very strong. And it measured from 2 to 3 meters, 6 foot 7 inches to 9 foot 10 inches was the length of those spears. And in coordination with their shields there, it was a very impenetrable formation. Okay, so we know that the Spartans were elite troops, born to battle, almost trained to battle, and this game tries to reflect that by giving these Spartans 2 hit points, excellent morale, and excellent specifications. It makes these troops, these Spartan troops, really elite, as they were in their day. Okay, some people say that the Spartans in this game are overpowered, but I think that the makers of the game just wanted to try and reflect how tough the Spartans were in real life by giving these great specifications to the Spartans troops. Okay, so that's why I think they've got so many good specifications there. But as I say, the Spartans' main thing that they're known for is the hold at the pass at Thermopylae, where they actually fought the Persians for 2 whole days, and on the 3rd day was the last day of the battle where they were killed. Ancient sources said that the Greek contingent may have killed 20,000 Persians. Remember that the Greek contingent was 7,000 troops, not just the 300 Spartans, and it is said that they may have killed up to 20,000 Persians. So that is a massive kill count, and you can see why towards the end Xerxes was so angry about so many of his troops being killed by this small group of Greeks. And that's why he said he wouldn't waste any more men on them and brought his thousands of archers forward. I hope you found this Spartan history interesting. Hope it wasn't too boring for you. And this battle's a great one for you to watch. And here is the other team. We have Brotherhood member Conan. Now Conan has got 16 infantry and 4 cavalry. Okay, 16 urban cohorts and 4 cavalry. So you imagine the number of pilers that he can throw in there with that 16 infantry before he even gets into hand-to-hand combat. Have a look at the upgrades on his cavalry. Okay, he's just got gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. But as I say, that's a lot of pilers there he can throw in. And if you notice, he's using a proper Roman formation, the checkered board formation there. Okay, our next teammate is Brotherhood member Clash, who's also bought the Rome SPQR faction. Now Clash has got 12 infantry and 6 cavalry. Okay, 12 infantry, 6 cavalry. Quick look at his upgrades. He usually brings mixed upgrades there, or you can see some of his units are gold shield, gold attack. If you look at his other units there, he's got 7 upgrades and experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his infantry there. He's got 6 cavalry. He's usually got well upgraded cavalry. Let's have a look at his cavalry. 1, 2, 3. Okay, he's got 8 upgrades, 2 experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. So that makes that serious cavalry. As you know, Praetorian cavalry is really good with just gold shield, gold attack. You put 2 experience stripes on, it makes them super cavalry. Okay, their next teammate is RTW player Admiral Douchebag. A lot of you will know him. He's bought the Rome Bruto faction. Now he has got 14 infantry and 6 cavalry. Okay, 14 infantry, 6 cavalry. Just like to draw your attention to 2 of his units here. He's got an infantry general and an eagle unit. Okay, so he's got a lot of morale there within his infantry. Okay, that's always a good thing to see. Lots of morale in infantry. His infantry will hold longer with that much morale. And as I say, got 6 cavalry. Quick look at the upgrades on his cavalry. Okay, he's just got 6 upgrades, got an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack on his cavalry. And their 4th teammate is Brotherhood member Steve Longshanks. Now Steve Longshanks has got 6 archers, okay, 6 cavalry and 8 infantry. Okay, 6 archers, 6 cavalry and 8 infantry. Only 8 infantry, and they're just coming out of the long grass at the rear there. Okay, and if you look at the upgrades on his cavalry there, you'll see that he's usually got well upgraded cavalry, and yes, 1, 2, yes, 3, 4, 8. He's got 8 upgrades on his cavalry. Okay, 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack, and those archers could be like a little bit of bait there. If any of our members want to attack them with cavalry, they might want to attack those archers, and then Steve will hit them with his 8 upgraded cavalry. So you don't want to attack those archers there unless you've got numbers to help there. So that's an interesting tactic there by Stephen. As I say, his infantry are just coming out the long grass at the rear there. It's a great team, and this should be a great battle for you to watch. And here is Steve's cavalry. Now they've run out of the long grass. You'll see he's just got 8 cavalry there. And look at the upgrades. Can you see he's got 7 upgrades on each of his cavalry units, and on each of his infantry units. An experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. So only 8 infantry, but they've got really good upgrades. That could make a difference towards the end of the battle. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I just thought I'd show you our general disposition. Can you see I've got my Greek cities army in behind, pretty central in behind my allies there. And as you can see here, if you look at the enemy disposition here, you can see Steve may take his archers and cavalry out to the left to target the flank of our ally there on the left flank. But you can see Steve's moved his infantry central there. So there's a lot of enemy infantry there in the central area. And that's why I've moved my Greek cities over a bit more to the centre there to help for if we're heavily attacked in the centre. Okay, it's still a very early stage of the battle here. You can see that Steve has moved his archers and cavalry, as we thought, round to the flank here to try and target the flank of our allies. Just pause the game for a second. If you notice here, though, remember those cheap archers I was telling you about earlier? Okay, I'll move them forward. Now those auxiliary archers with gold attack on, they're 520 denarii, and my cheap archers are only, as I say, 250 denarii, and yet I can still cause a lot of damage to the more expensive archers there. Okay, so it's bringing cheap archers. You might think, no, it's not worth it, but actually, if you use them properly, they can be very useful. And if these expensive archers want to fire their expensive arrows at my cheap archers, that's okay as well, because by doing that, they're not targeting more expensive units within my team. So actually bringing cheap archers that you see how much damage I'm doing to that one unit there. I've knocked it down to about 13 men with my cheap archers. So as I say, maybe bringing cheap archers now and again. You can then spend more money on your more elite units if you want. As I say, cause a lot of casualties there to Steve's more expensive archers there with my cheap archers. So as I say, I just wanted to show you that you know, you don't always have to bring expensive long-range archers when cheaper ones can be still quite useful if used correctly there. But say there's a bit of an archer battle going on here. I can see Steve is targeting our Juliite ally as he moves his archers away. Look at my archers there, the firepower putting onto the rear of them, causing even more casualties there. As I say, my old Greek army is 14 Spartans and these 5 cheap archers. But as I say, you can see how effective they can be, even though they are cheap and short range. A lot of pilot exchanging going on here. See Legion's pilot shield unit there reduced down to less than 20 men. So you can see the amount of pilots that unit has taken. I see he's put some units in behind that pilot shield unit in Testudo. As I say, you can see Steve's infantry there is in the centre of the enemy team now. Okay, let's just pause the game for a second. So what I'm thinking here over on our right flank is, see Conan here, I'm thinking he might be looking to do a right flanking action here. Remember, he's got 16 infantry and 4 cavalry, and he may well do that. Now, he might get Clash to engage Bark here, hold and pin him, while he moves his army round that right flank. And that could be a tactic that Conan and Clash could do. So that's why I'm keeping my Greek cities army at the rear here, because if they try that, then obviously I'll move my Greek cities army there to try and counter that move by them. So that's why I'm keeping my Greek cities army there at the rear of my team, so I can move to either flank if needed. As you can see here, Clash moving more over to the right here, which kind of reinforces my thoughts about what they might be doing here. As I say, if Clash pins and holds our Juliite ally there and Conan goes round his flank, that could be a tactic they may well try there. Okay, now, I'd just like to draw your attention here to, this is reminiscent of an old tactic that was used maybe 8 years ago in Rome Total War, and really shocked us when we first saw it. Can you see how the enemy have massed most of their cavalry on our flank? Now, this is reminiscent of a tactic we used to call the ride-over tactic. Okay, I can remember the first time it was done to us, and it was a real shock. And you can see they've massed a lot of their cavalry there. I think there's about 18 units of cavalry there. And with the ride-over tactic, what would happen is the enemy infantry then would charge in to our teammate here to pin and hold his infantry. They charge in there really aggressively with their own infantry to pin and hold them. And then at the right time, all the enemy cavalry would charge in one massive smash into our ally there. So you imagine there are 18 cavalry charge bonuses smashing into that Juliite infantry that's already engaged with the enemy Brutii infantry. And if you don't get support, if you don't get cavalry up behind your ally there, make no mistake, that army will rout. And if you try charging cavalry in when that army is routing, and your cavalry charges into routing allies, their morale will drop like a stone. And when they meet enemy cavalry, they will rout as well. So I say this ride-over tactic was extremely effective when they first tried it on us. Your team has to be really switched on to get cavalry to support your ally on the particular flank they want to attack. Now, whether the enemy team are going to do the ride-over tactic on us, we'll just have to wait and see. Okay, but as I say, that's the tactic there. They will charge everything in. Right, can you see this unit here forming Testudo? Newer players to Rome Total War, I don't know whether you've seen a Testudo unit actually being formed. But there you go, that's a real formation there used by the Roman army. And look at the defence it gives you. All round basically defence there against missiles and infantry attack as well. Okay, so there's a general view of the battlefield as it stands at the moment. I see, I think it's Bark's Town Watch is being aggressively attacked there by the enemy SPQR troops. My guess is that Town Watch unit will probably rout now and leave the battlefield. There you go, that unit is now left and has been routed. Now Bark's units now are in tight close formation, which could suffer a lot of pilot damage if the enemy decide to throw pilots in. Meanwhile, on our left flank here you can see the enemy Brutii general there being aggressive, lots of pilots going into our Julii ally, which makes me think they may well try that ride over tactic here on our left flank. I see Steve moving his SBQR army over as well, which adds even more weight to a possible ride over tactic here on our left flank. Should be interesting to see. Okay, at this stage of the battle here, you can see, we just pause the game for a second, Legion's brought his cavalry across here, because he can see the danger from that ride over tactic, and of course, Aurelius has already got his cavalry here. But as you can see, there's 18 enemy cavalry units there, maybe waiting to charge in. We just have to wait and see. As I say, they may well try this ride over tactic here on our left flank. I see there's a bit of an archer battle going on between our Scipii archers there and the enemy SBQR archers, and there's a lot of pilots going in here between our Julii ally and the Brutii enemy there as well. But as I say, we've got a lot of cavalry over here. I see Bark has brought 3 units of his cavalry over as well to support. Now you can see I'm moving my short range archers forward again to try and target those enemy SBQR archers there. So as I say, I know we all try to bring expensive archers because they got the long range and do the most damage, but as I say, cheap short range archers, if used correctly, can be quite effective on the modern day battlefield too. So I say there's the enemy archers there. That's Steve's SBQ archers. You can see the casualties that we've caused those archers between us, and Steve, those archers, Steve's will probably be wiped out pretty soon, I'm thinking there. But as I say, the main thing we've got to be concerned about at the moment is the enemy trying this ride over tactic. As I say, Bark's brought 3 of his cavalry over to this flank as well. As I say, I think I said to the team, there's all this cavalry on our left flank there, and they moved over the reinforcements there to, just in case, as I say, this ride over tactic does happen here on our left flank. I think you'll tell if it's going to happen because the enemy will aggressively attack our Julii ally on this flank, and that's usually a precursor to a massive cavalry attack coming in. Okay, a bit more bad news for us. Conan has brought his cavalry across as well. So there are now, I think it's 22 enemy cavalry, fresh enemy cavalry units there, ready to charge in. 22 cavalry units. Now, as I say, if the enemy Brutii general starts attacking our Julii ally, that will be a precursor to that cavalry charging. If you notice here, I've put my archers in close formation because I'm going to target that enemy cavalry when it comes in with my archers, okay? That's what I'm going to do with my archers. That's why I put them in tight close formation there, to do more damage, more impact to that cavalry when it charges in. But make no mistake there are 22 enemy cavalry units. Now, should I move my Spartans over to that side, or is that a distraction attack? That's what I'm thinking here. Is that going to be a distraction attack there for me to move my Spartans over there? Well, Clash hits Bark here head on, and Conan takes his infantry round the flank to take out Bark's infantry while I'm over the other side trying to fight the enemy cavalry. So I'm in a bit of a dilemma in what to do here. Should I keep my Spartans where they are, or should I move them over ready to help with that massive cavalry attack that we know is definitely coming in? Difficult one. Okay, so you can see here that the enemy Brutii general has now thrown units into the attack here on our left flank against our Julii ally. Okay, now as I say, that could be a precursor to a massive cavalry attack. Okay, you can see the enemy SBQR cavalry coming in, and here they come. Get ready for this. Bang! As they smash in, then the next one. Bang! You can see that Brutii cavalry ready to charge in to counter-attack our Scipii cavalry ally as he charges in, and then the Brutii cavalry charges in, and bang, as that smashes in there as well. That is one massive cavalry battle here on our left flank. As you can see, this is the ride over tactic that we talked about from years ago, and that's what they've done there. Okay, you can see our allies counter-attacking with their cavalry, but that is one massive cavalry hit there that's just gone in on our left flank. Not only has it routed a lot of our allies there, it would have caused massive casualties as well. Let's pause again for a second. So that's a massive cavalry hit there. You can see Aurelius' general has just been taken out. It's been routed there. You can see there's some more enemy SBQR cavalry charging in, plus that Brutii infantry is charging in as well. And as I say, our left flank here could well be broken. Aurelius has pulled his cavalry back with a view to charge in. Legion's cavalry very battle damaged there. And you've got Bart's cavalry ready to charge as well. But a lot of our units have been routed here on this left flank from that massive cavalry attack. Okay. Now you can see Conan now, he's not moving around the right flank like I thought he might do. He looks like he's moving his 16 infantry over to the other flank. So if you notice here, I'm moving my Greek cities over there to try and shadow it as well. But as you can see, at this stage of the battle, our left flank is in danger of being broken. And there's that other SBQR cavalry charging in there of Conan's, and bang, that smashes in as well. Okay, that is some massive impact. I think Aurelius has done really well to hold there as long as he did. And you can see his cavalry there ready to charge in again there. Okay, that was a massive cavalry hit there by the enemy, which I thought would have broken our left flank there. But you can see we're counter-attacking with our cavalry there. Aurelius is charging his cavalry in as well. He might get a little bit exposed here on this left flank. There's a lot of enemy cavalry heading his way, and bang, as they charge into him. His cavalry's got a good chance of being routed here on the left flank. Okay, let's just pause again for a second. Right, you can see Aurelius' cavalry is being routed here. Now, what have we talked about in other battle videos? When you rout units, you chase them down. You chase them off the battlefield, okay? Right, you can see my Greek city army I've brought over here to reinforce our left flank. I'm going to face the enemy Brutii and SBQR troops here with my Greek cities. Try and hold here, try and shore up our left flank against that massive enemy attack. Meanwhile, over here, you can see that Legions, he's thrown some units over there. And you can see Conan moving his 16 infantry over there, probably looking to attack my Spartans. Clash and Bark over on the other flank there. Not a lot going on there at the moment. But over here on our left flank, as I say, things not looking very good. Remember, Aurelius' cavalry has just been routed there. And what we talked about in other battle videos, you chase down the routers, okay? Otherwise, they can rally and come back and bite you in the butt. Okay, let's pause the game for a second, okay? So as I say, most of Aurelius' cavalry are routed there, but they've still got good numbers in those units and got a potential to rally. So you need to chase them off the battlefield. Chase down routing units, or you could be sorry towards the end of the battle. Okay, so they need to just send a few units, a couple, 2 or 3 cavalry units, just to chase those routing Julii cavalry off the battlefield, okay? That's all they need to do, 2 or 3 units just to keep them chasing them, and if they try and rally, to hit them, and you'll rout them and they'll just run off the battlefield. So that's what you need to do. Okay, if you don't do that, those units may rally and, as I say, come back and bite you in the butt. Okay, you can see Bark attacking here with his Julii cavalry. So the enemy now are turning all their cavalry on attacking Bark's cavalry there. As I say, you just need a couple of units to chase down those Julii cavalry units there. And now can you see those Julii cavalry units have rallied? Right, let's pause again for a second. Okay, so Aurelius' cavalry units that we're routing now have rallied. Okay, so they can now be thrown back into the fray. They could smash into the rear of those engaged SBQR cavalry, and that could make a difference here on this flank. So let's say it's a good lesson for newer players to Rome Total War. Chase down routing units, chase them off the battlefield, or as I say, they can come back and you can regret not chasing them off. As you can see here, I've got my Greek cities army here facing the enemy Brutii and SBQR troops. As I say, I'm trying to shore up this left flank. Legion's got some of his Scipio units over here as well. And as I say, I think Aurelius held really well there against that massive hit there by the enemy. But as I say, Conan's 16 urban cohorts moving in on me there, looking to throw a lot of pilers in there. As I say, Aurelius has got his Eagle unit at the back there, giving extra morale. But here you can see Bark's cavalry engaging the enemy SBQR and Brutii cavalry here. This could prove pivotal here maybe, and I see Legions charging in his battle damaged cavalry as well, trying to help. Oh my gosh, as I say, whoever wins here could go on maybe to get in behind the enemy troops there and cause mischief. Right, now can you see Aurelius' rallied cavalry that we were just talking about there? Now can come back into the fray, you see? Come back in, and as I said earlier, like a couple of times, come back and bite you in the butt, and you can really regret not chasing routers from the battlefield here. Okay? My archers here, I've been shooting into the enemy cavalry ever since they came into range. As I say, I've got my archers in close formation for more impact and do more damage on the enemy cavalry. Okay, so I've been trying to do my bit with my cavalry there, and as I say, I've moved my infantry over to that left flank to try and shore up that left flank after that massive cavalry and infantry attack there. You can see Bark's cavalry doing really well here. Of course, he had well upgraded cavalry there against the enemy cavalry, and he's doing extremely well. Okay, you can see the enemy charging back in with SBQR cavalry and Brutii cavalry there. Bang! As that Brutii cavalry charges it. Right, and there's Aurelius's cavalry. Okay, that rallied cavalry charging back in again. Right, let's just pause again. Once again, just to say to newer players to Rome Total War, you must chase routing units off the battlefield, or they will come back and they can change the course of the battle. Okay, so there you go, Aurelius's cavalry charging in there. Now, if he starts to rout some of those SBQR units, I bet they really regret not chasing him off the battlefield there. Okay, so you can see a lot of the enemy SBQR cavalry are starting to rout now, mostly killed by those rallied Julii cavalry of Aurelius's there. Okay, so that's a good example there, as I say to newer players to Rome Total War. I know I've said it a few times, chase those routing troops off the battlefield. Don't let them rally. Okay, right, let's just pause the game for a second here. Okay, so you can see both Bark has moved from his right flank here, and Legion moving troops over here as well. And we're all moving over to the left flank here, as we feel this may be the danger area for our team. As I say, you can see a lot of enemy infantry facing us there, and it wouldn't surprise me if Clash move around the right flank there, and Steve may well attack as our troops are moving, but we just have to wait and see here. Let's say I've got my cheap archers in close formation. Remember, archers in close formation have got more impact and do more damage. But you don't want to have them in close formation fighting other archers there, because they will suffer a lot more casualties in close order than in open order. That's why you have pilot shield units in open order, because they suffer less casualties from missiles. Okay, I say new players to Rome Total War, I hope some of the hints and tips we give you in our battles do help you a little bit for when you play the game. Right, this is a nice move by Bark here, moving his Julii infantry over to the left of my Greek cities formation. As I say, Conan's got his 16 urban cohorts in front of my Spartans, and I know that he'll want to pepper my Spartans with his pilers. But remember, my Spartans have got 2 hit points, which means they suffer less casualties from missiles. Now look at those pilers coming into my Spartans. I mean, it is literally raining pilers onto my Spartans there. And if they, if I just had ordinary units there, maybe even Rome units or other units there, they would be suffering massive damage. But because the Spartans have got the 2 hit points, they do suffer a lot less casualties from missiles than other units. So as I say, even though I'm facing 16 urban cohorts there, they're not going to do a lot of damage with their pilers. Now, as you know, with my Spartans, I don't like to be defensive. I really don't like being defensive. I want to take advantage of the great attacking specifications of Spartans, and I'm already thinking about moving my Spartans forward and taking the battle to the enemy. I think we've gone a bit too defensive so far in this battle, and I know I was thinking, right, I'm not going to hang around here. I'm going to take my Spartans forward at the first opportunity I feel like I want to do that. As I say, when you go defensive, you hand the initiative to the enemy, and then you can only react to them. So, as I say, our right flank is under quite a severe attack here by 2 SBQR armies there, Steve's and Clashes. And those SBQR units, make no mistake, are going to move around our flank. Right, okay, so at this stage of the battle, as you can see, I've decided I'm not going to be defensive. I'm now going to take the battle to the enemy. And I'm moving my Spartans forward. Remember that formation that I use, that old-fashioned formation? It seems to be very effective in attack here. And I'm going to go for that SBQR general. I'm going to try and push through all his SBQR units to kill the general. Okay, now remember, the Spartans' attacking specifications are really good. And with their 2 hit points, excellent morale, and all over excellent specifications, they move forward. They remind me of look at all those pilers coming into us there, raining pilers again onto my Spartans. But when the Spartans are moving, they remind me of a steamroller, very slow moving, but they go over anything that's in front of them. And if you notice here, can you see how I'm moving forward? Make no mistake, I'm going for that SBQR general. I want to go through those forward SBQR units there and go for the general there. Okay, that's what I'm going through with my Spartans. and as you can see here, I'm pushing forward into those SBQR troops. You can see Conan there pushing his units forward there to attack my Spartans, using their attack bonus there against my Spartans, but my Spartans are still moving forward, still advancing, still doing that steamroller move, slowly but steadily moving forward there. As I say, I'm going for that SBQR general. That's where I want to hit. Kill the general, take the morale bonus away from the enemy troops. Right, let's pause the game for a second here. Okay, so as you can see here, I'm moving forward with my Spartans there, very slowly but steadily towards the SBQR general, because that's where I want to kill. That's who I want to take out there. As I say, to take the morale away from the enemy troops. If you notice here, I've got SBQR unit coming around my flank, and my Juliite ally is seeing to that. Conan's also pushing units into attacking my Juliite allies on my other flank of my Greek cities. You've got Bark here with his Juliite units there facing those Brutio units in Testudo, while the Brutio general is taking more infantry over to our centre. Okay, on our right flank here, remember the enemy are the purple SBQR. Look at the numbers here against our allies' blue Scipio troops there. Just a glance at the numbers. Aurelius is rallied cavalry. Look, remember the cavalry that should have been chased from the battlefield? Back into the fray, attacking again. As I say, I know I've said it a few times, if you don't chase rallied units off the battlefield, they will come back and you will regret it. Right, see that enemy Brutio cavalry charging, and bang, it smashes into our Scipioid ally. I think Legion is doing a fantastic job here on our right flank, holding against all that enemy infantry. Remember the enemy SBQR and green Brutio are attacking him there. And as I say, my Greek city units are moving forward there. Now can you see the SBQR general is in a little bit of harm's way there. My Greek cities are nearly all over him, and I will be, as I say, I will be looking to take that general out, to remove the general morale bonus from those enemy troops. Okay, now I'm moving forward there towards the general, but if you notice I'm being attacked from both sides. But what I'd like to say here is that I turn units to face the attack from the flank. Okay, on both sides of that formation there, I'm facing the enemy coming in from the flank, while I'm moving the bulk of my infantry forward. Okay, so it might look like I'm just moving completely forward there, but I have got units defending my flank. Let's say Bark here may well attack the enemy Brutio troops here, and he's moving his cavalry in there to attack those Brutio troops as well. Okay, you can see Conan throwing in infantry, trying to break the enemy, our allies' Julio units there. But as I say, just look over on our right flank. The enemy are the green Brutio cavalry there, and all those SBQR troops. I think Legion's doing a fantastic job of holding there against all those troops. The longer he can hold, the better for us, because my Spartans might be able to take out, as I say, a lot of those SBQR troops with Bark infantry there, and we can get over to this flank. Right, see that Brutio cavalry charging in? Bang! As that cavalry hits in coordination with the SBQR infantry that's got in behind our Scipioid ally there. That's a massive hit there on our flank. And it wouldn't surprise me if that right flank of ours broke at any moment with those massive enemy numbers that are coming in. Let's just pause the game for a second. You can see a lot of our Scipioid allies are starting to rout now from that impact. I noticed that Aurelius has taken his Eagle unit over there to try and give a bit of morale to our Scipioid ally there. And you can see Conan still pushing here. But I've done what I've wanted to do here. I have routed the SBQR general. Okay, so just taking away his morale there. Morale bonus to his army, and now I'm going to up spears. I've taken that out. I'm going to up my spears and run over. If you notice here, as I say, I've got units facing left and right, defending from enemy attacks coming in on my flank, while I move the majority of my units forward. Okay, so the bulk of my infantry move forward, attacking the enemy, but my flanks are guarded by units that I put to do that. Okay, so our Juliite ally and myself now are going to move right to try and take out the enemy on our right flank. As I say, Legion holding as long as he did here has been, I think, pivotal to this battle. If he hasn't held it as long as he has here, then I think things could have been even worse for us here. As I say, his general's still alive, giving that morale bonus to his Scipio troops. As I say, Aurelius has brought his Eagle unit over there to try and give morale here, but our right flank, make no mistake about it, is in danger of breaking here. Okay, look at the enemy. As I say, the enemy Brutii and the enemy SBQR against our Scipii ally there, and Julii Eagle unit there. Okay, so Bark and myself are now going to start moving right here to try and relieve pressure off of our allies. If you notice, I've upped spears and I'm now running my Greek city's army forward there with my Julii ally over to our right flank. Okay, there's a Brutii cavalry charging in. Legion's general still holding, his general still holding and giving morale bonus to his troops, and bang, as that Brutii cavalry charges in there. What a hit that is. And Legion's general unit still holding there. Okay, but just pause the game here. But for all intents and purposes, our right flank, after a fantastic defense, has finally been broken. Okay, Legion's got 9 men in that 1 unit left, and 1 man left in his general unit, which I'm guessing is his general. Okay, so he's got 10 men left out of his entire army on that right flank. He held extremely well there. But as I say, I'm moving my Greek cities army over here to the right flank. And as you can see, Bark's moving his Julii infantry over to the right flank as well to engage the victorious enemy troops. Okay, but as I say, Legion holding there on that right flank for as long as he did, I think, was pivotal to this battle there. Really well done to him. Okay, so you can see now I'm starting to move my Greek cities. I've put my spears down and I'm now moving in on that enemy SPQR infantry. Remember, whenever you see my infantry moving forward, it looks like it's a big mass moving in one direction, but I have got units guarding my flanks to deflect enemy attack coming in on my flanks. Okay, the bulk of my force move forward, but I do defend my flanks with units. Okay, right, you can see the enemy SPQR infantry and Brutii cavalry are looking to get in behind us. Okay, now whether they're going to hit my Greek cities or whether they want to bypass my Greek cities and hit my Julii ally, we'll just have to wait and see. But as you can see here, my Greek cities are moving steadily forward in that like steamroller effect that we talked about earlier. Slowly moving forward, but kind of going over anything that it meets in front of it. And that Brutii cavalry, bang, gone into the back of my Julii ally there. That's a big hit there by that Brutii. Let's pause the game for a second. So obviously they're looking to target the rear of my Julii ally there, rather than maybe the rear of my attacking Greek city units. They're trying to take out my Julii ally. Remember my Julii allies being sandwiched here? But look at my cheap archers, okay? Remember 250 denarii each with gold attack, really cheap. But now I've got them in close formation. I am now shooting fire arrows into the rear of those engaged enemy troops. So as I say, bringing cheap archers used correctly, they can be really effective. And with those fire arrows hitting the rear of those enemy troops, lowering their morale, making them more susceptible to rout, you can see it's really good. Look at the fire arrows I'm just putting straight into the rear of those enemy troops and moving my Greek city units forward, pushing them into the enemy there. You know what I'm going for, those that watch my battle regularly? I'm going for that SPQR general. Okay, that's who I want to take out. And if you notice, you've got the enemy Brutii general there as well, moving slowly forward here, as I say, going for that SPQR general. My cheap archers are shooting loads of fire arrows into the rear of the enemy troops, lowering their morale as well as causing casualties. Bark's doing well with his Julii infantry, but he's got enemy SPQR infantry in behind him, which may well target his general. Okay, so as I say, I'm moving forward with my my Greek cities unit into that SPQR army. They're looking to take out that general. Right, okay, I've routed that SPQR general, taking the morale bonus away from his troops. Now I'm going for the Brutii general. I want to take out that Brutii general if I can. Once again, as I said earlier, taking morale away from the enemy troops. Okay, as I say, the enemy Brutii cavalry may well chase my archers away. Right, okay, they've had enough of my archers shooting into the rear of them with fire arrows. Look, they've decided to use their cavalry to chase my my archers away there. But I think my archers have done quite well in this battle. As I say, wanted to showcase what cheap archers can do in a battle. But I've got SPQR infantry attacking my Julii ally there, and my Greek cities, as I say, I'm going for that Brutii general and then going on for that SPQR general in behind the Brutii general, pushing forward all the time here. I notice Bark is defending my rear against those enemy SPQR troops, and Legion's got 1 man left in his whole army, and that's his general. So Legion's got just his general left out of his whole army there, and notice how he's keeping that general central in my Greek cities there to keep him alive. That's a nice move there by Legion. But if you notice here, my Greek cities moving forward. As I say, I want to take out that Brutii general, and I want to move on to take out that SPQR general if I can. The Brutii general, as you can see, is in harm's way now. He might have wanted to move that general out the way. Okay, I think that Brutii general is now dead, and I'm now moving on to the SPQR general. But if you notice here, the SPQR general there is moving his general away, if you see what I mean, out of harm's way. He knows that I'm going to go for him, and he's moved out of harm's way there. I've got SPQR troops attacking my flank now as I'm moving forward. But I've taken out the main threat that is in front of me, and I'm now going to turn my attention to the SPQR and Brutii troops attacking my Julii ally. Right, all these enemy troops are attacking my Julii ally. I'm now going to change direction with my Spartan attack, and I'm now going to move forward into those SBQR and Brutii troops there. Okay, make no mistake here, I'm going to charge straight in there, as I say, through my engaged Julii allies troops there into the enemy SBQR and Brutii troops, moving forward all the time here, pushing into the enemy team. I see, as I say, Legion keeping his general right in the middle of my Spartans there to keep him alive. And don't forget, he's giving good general morale bonus as well to Scipio General as we move forward into the SBQR troops there. As I say, whenever you see me use my Spartans, it looks like I'm just moving completely forward all the time and not defending my rear or my flanks. But most of the time, I've got units actually on my flanks and rear deflecting enemy attacks that are trying to come in on my formation. As one of Aurelius's rallied cavalry, just charge into the rear of those enemy SBQR troops. And now I've moved. I'm now changing direction with my Spartans again. Can you see? I'm moving back now towards the enemy SBQR general there. Okay, as you see, I've changed direction several times with my Spartan army in the way they attack. Just moving for the most highest number of enemy infantry there, and that's where I will move my infantry to. As you see, I think I've changed attack direction about 3 times in this particular part of the battle with my Spartans. As I say, I want to take out that enemy SBQR general if I can with my Julii ally. Okay, we've managed to do that. Okay, so if we just pause the game for a second, just have a look at the intensity of the battle here. You can see it's fought over a reasonably large area. There's skirmishing, lots of skirmishing done all the way over there. Look, that's where a lot of skirmishing was done. Pylons being thrown and just a little bit of fighting going on there. But as you move further over to our left flank, you can see by the piles of dead there where the intense part of the battle was being fought. If you look at here, you can see loads of cavalry there. That must have been when that cavalry hit went into us there. Look. Loads and loads of dead cavalry and infantry amongst them as well. As we move over to the left there, as I say, you can see the intensity of the fighting here on this particular part of the battlefield. Loads and loads of dead there. So as I say, it's fought over a reasonably wide area, but the intense parts of the battlefield, as I say, you can see there by the massive piles of dead there. Let's say Legion's got 1 man left in his unit, just his general, out of his whole army. Okay, so let's say it's a close victory, and I'd like to say really well played to everybody in the game there. Some really nice moves there by all the players in this game. As I say, really well played. Just like to show you my old Spartan army there. Remember, that's a really old Spartan army. And I managed to scrape in just about the highest kills there, so I'm pleased with how well that done. But look at Admiral Douchebag, look, 1,722. So nice kills for him too. That was really well played by him to get that many kills. If you look at Aurelius, he probably didn't get the kills that he wanted there, but remember his rallied cavalry did a lot of damage. Legion probably didn't get the kills that he wanted to, but look how he held that right flank for as long as he did. Remember, defensive, you don't get that many kills, attacking you do. Bark's got some good kills there, 1,500. So that's really good. And look at Conan. Remember, he had 16 urban cohorts and 4 cavalry. Probably didn't get the kills that he wanted there. 863 with all those troops. Clash probably didn't get the kills he wanted there, but as I say, Admiral did well and Steve did well there with their kills, I thought. Just have a look at the specifications. The statistics of the battle. If you look at my archers there, those cheap archers, as I say, I'll try to show how good they are. I think they killed it's 288 enemy troops, those cheap archers did, plus the effect of firing fire arrows into the rear of those engaged enemy troops. So I think, if you want to bring cheap archers, if you use them properly, they're pretty good, as you can see there. My Spartan kills, not too bad. I don't think the kills were absolutely fantastic, but they were quite good there. So I'd just like to say really well done to Brotherhood member Conan. There, well done to Brotherhood member Clash. Well done to Admiral Douchebag there, and well done to Brotherhood member Steve Longshanks. Well played, guys. Nice attacking, aggressive moves there by you. But also really well done to Brotherhood member Aurelius there. Well done to Brotherhood member Legion, once again holding that right flank as long as he did, and well done to Brotherhood member Bark. I hope you enjoyed the history about the Greek cities. I hope it wasn't too boring for you, and I hope you enjoyed the battle. Look forward to seeing you soon. Please leave a comment if you like. Bye for now.